Hello, all you bald and balding people, and welcome back to Those Bald Chicks. This episode is a continuation of the first part of Rio's story with Niki and Aaron Ball. We ended off the last episode right before we dove into learning more about Rio's Rainbow organization. As we said in the first episode, please take breaks if needed. There will be discussions surrounding suicide and bullying. Your mental health and well-being matter. Tell us a little bit about Rio's Rainbow, how it came about, what you guys decided in the beginning, what it was going to be, and then what it is now. Just kind of give us the whole rundown of it.
So originally, we're learning as we go, this is all very, very, very new to us and not what we thought we would be doing with our lives, but this is the mission now. And Rio's story, there are the three main facets, the three main awarenesses, and that's the alopecia, that's the bullying, and that's the suicide.
Yep.
And there are so many different facets that fall into all of that, or there's a lot of people there that can be helped. And so in the beginnings, it was just, what can we do? What do we think we need to do? Like, what do these kids really need? So we did a lot of fundraising and we had some incredible events. And like, that was one of the more really like hit me deep was our ride, was the motorcycle ride. And just seeing all of these bikes just keep showing up. And then, and everyone in all these, beautiful rainbow colors. And so at first it was a lot of raising money, not quite sure what we were going to try and do yet. We were able to partner with the Elkhart Community Foundation here in town, he's probably better at explaining that, but we partner with them to be able to give grants to other 501c3s.
Oh, wow.
So we started one with our local, it's called Oaklawn. It's our mental health facility here in town.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're still learning right now. And I guess you'd be better off in that. That's kind of where we started.
So yeah, we took in the beginning, like we realized almost immediately that there was all our schools are kind of like flying by the seat of their pants. They're trying to do the best they can too, because they're short staffed and they're underfunded, and there was no like social emotional learning going on in our schools. There was programs, but they weren't really monitored all that well. And so, the idea was kind of like, all right, well, let's raise this money and try to provide some programs within the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we definitely, like with all the events that we had this past summer, it was definitely a lot of flying by the seat of our pants, but it was our family and our friends that these guys now are like that ride that she's referring to. If you showed up to it, you wouldn't have realized that it was put on by a bunch of amateurs. It felt good. Like it felt, these guys.
For our first year, that was pretty good.
And we talked like Rio's Rainbow's farm board members and,
that's great.
And the Rio's Rainbow has spawned a parent coalition group for Elkhart Community Schools that just had an event, not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before that, at Rio's school.
Really?
And we had over 70 people show up for it, parents, frontline staff, to discuss some of these issues that are going on in our schools and how we can change it.
And it wasn't just Elkhart Community Schools either. No. It was some of the other...
Our neighboring districts were brought in on it.
Great.
And then right now, even as we speak, the very first Rio's Rainbow grant through Oaklawn is taking place in the 3 middle schools. We decided to start with the middle schools because that was Rio's peer group, so,
Absolutely.
And it's a critical peer group like that. And Kristen, you probably know this, like 12, 13, 14 years old, like a lot of decisions and habits and feelings get formed in that time period. So we have 3 middle schools in our community, and we started a 6-week program called Building Hope week by week. And the kids had to sign up for it, but the parents had to approve it too, because it is through Oaklawn and through one of the local mental health facilities. And we had over 50 kids get approval that want to do it. They want to do it. Like in Rio's own school had to form 2 groups because they had so many kids that so this little girl is moving mountains already, and she guides us, when we get these small wins, and sometimes they're not small, like sometimes they're big, that's the gas that keeps us going.
You got it. That's incredible, because when you see, especially your community come together, because that's the thing is like just right now you're in the beginning stages and it's just going to keep growing because it's such an important thing. I feel like not many people focus on mental health. Like schools specifically, I don't remember ever learning anything like that in school, which is crazy. It's more curated towards math and science and all this, but it's like, hello, we should probably, focus on mental health and the well-being of the kids together.
Yeah. Well, it's a systemic change. Like we're stuck in this thing where, Nikki's 32. I'm 46.
Yeah.
So it's a different grow up. And the majority of our people that are running our schools or running quite honestly, like our legislation and government and stuff like that, they're from the back in my day, suck it up.
Got it.
You don't know how easy you got it. What do you have to be sorry about? That's not, I self-admittedly can't relate to that. Because I didn't have the internet. I didn't have cell phones. I didn't have the parents that I grew up with in my own neighborhood or in my own community were, very mindful of what their kids were doing. And we have a culture now that's not that way. So
You got it.
there's more free reign for everybody to do whatever they want or say whatever they want.
Yeah, so that thought process is just archaic and not, it's obsolete at this point. We don't even.
It doesn't help anybody.
No.
It's not helpful at all.
No, it literally just hurts. It doesn't help anybody at all. Yeah.
And we tell people all the time that want to kind of be part of what we're doing. If you're not boots on the ground, then I don't have anything for you.
Right.
So we don't need words anymore. We need
action.
We need
this
action.
is frontline warfare at this point. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
It really is. And the more I feel the more it's gonna take time. And I feel like I've got to kind of check some of them every once in a while. Guys, look what's already happened, and it hasn't even been a year yet.
Absolutely.
This is an uphill battle. This is now, but look at our army. It's growing. It's getting bigger each time, and that's the main thing. We've got to get teachers with us too, and know that we're with them. It's not us versus them situation. And if it is, it's the them, as in anyone trying to stop us from making this world a better place.
Right. Would be insane. It takes a village in all aspects of life too, because how society has trained us to think, oh, you need hair to be beautiful type deal. So the whole hair loss community in trying to change that narrative. And you have to look at all that plays part in it, and school systems and what you are taught, and your mental health is such a big thing as you're growing up, because when you're an adult you have to unpack all of that. But it makes so much more sense to start it early, you guys are trying to do, than to do it when you're an adult and you don't even know what just happened and years go by. You know what I mean? So it's so crazy how many things do have to change, because you're right. I mean, it's run by all older people that don't want to talk about their feelings, want to shove everybody else's feelings down and just deal with it type deal. And that is just so hurtful to so many people.
It doesn't matter. You can be the best parent you can be. Rio knew she was loved. And I'm not saying we're perfect by any measure, but that baby knew that she was loved. We did everything we thought we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Of course we hold guilt. Of course we hold regret. But even in that, we're still in the position now that we are in. And that is so scary.
Yeah.
About a month before Rio passed, me and her dad had gone to hang out together and had discussed some of Rio's situations and how things were going. And it was a genuine concern. Between me and him, we both came to the conclusion at that time that we're yes, her school life sucks and we're working through it, but her home life is so good. We're a true family. And and I cannot, that portion of it, I can't express to other people enough, is this kind of stuff can really, really happen to anybody if we do not find a way to change mindsets and behaviors, not just in our schools, but in our communities at large, because it doesn't matter how good a parent you are.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's just too much.
Yeah, and your peers, when you're so young, even when we were younger too, your peers in your school seems like the end all be all. It seems like it is everything in your life. It was for me. My parents are incredible and super supportive and have been by my side. But during that time, even though I loved them, everything was school. Everything was the people that I went to school with, and that was it. It didn't matter if my mom and I had the best relationship. I got bullied too in school. I left my high school and changed my high school my junior year to a different high school because I was my whole life are these people. My whole life is everybody I go to school with. And people don't realize that's where it starts. That's why it's so important to get mental health days, to make sure to check up on the kids, and because it's just such a powerful environment that consumes your life. And people don't realize that is such a big thing. So that's why it's so important to start them young, to realize, hey, if you're not having a good time in school, if something's going on, let's talk about it. Let's get everybody together in the class or in the school to talk about their emotions and their feelings, because it starts there. We also want to know what your goals are for the future for your organization.
we have gone through, two of the people that are involved in the Parent Coalition and involved in Reels Rainbow have gone through a training called Obeas Training, which was developed by Clemson University. It had been instituted in our schools years ago, but it kind of fell by the wayside just because, teachers move on and the infrastructure kind of cracks, and like they were still doing it, but not to the level of what the program should be. So we have gone through that. That will roll out in our schools at the beginning of next year. Our current program is running in the middle schools right now. And then we're still meeting. We're trying to get some like mindfulness, like a pilot class in some of the schools.
Oh, that's great.
At our last seminar that we had this a couple of weeks ago, we had a mindfulness training at the end of the event, and people were very, very responsive to it. Like, it kind of brought the room back together. So that's what, the Parent Coalition is going to do work, within the schools and with the schools together. Like, it has become truly a team effort.
It has to be.
Yeah, there was a little bit of
absolutely.
Back and forth in the beginning where this is why we can't do this and this is why we can't do that. Well, now we're at the point now to where that Parent Coalition group is working towards what can we do, how can we do things, where Reels Rainbow will continue to, it's kind of, we didn't have a set. At first it was, let's just raise money to get some programs going in these schools to help these kids. But since then, we've helped out other families.
Yeah.
Loss is loss, So we had a little girl that accidentally got hit by a car like a couple weeks ago. And it was a kind of a family that helps us with some Reels Rainbow stuff, had already been helping out, trying to get stuff for them because it was a big family. And when that happened, we were like, let's put something together. We pulled off what we knew helped us. It wasn't like,
it wasn't the food.
It wasn't the food. There's so much food when you don't want to eat, so.
Absolutely.
But the things that you forget, like laundry soap and toilet paper and tissues and aspirin, things like that. So we put a tote together for them.
I know one goal I've always had, and I know I know I'm not in the mental space quite yet for it, but I would love to eventually maybe have our own Rio's Rainbow small groups of either kids who are bullied or kids that are the bullies. And I would love to maybe eventually work with the schools where, hey, if you get so many complaints on this kid, send them to us. Not for maybe not because we're not doctors or anything, but something like that. Or even for parents, to come together and be like, what should I do? I don't know what to do with him. And he's driving me nuts. He's getting in trouble at school. Because I think that's something also that I genuinely think that most parents, and maybe this is me being a little too optimistic, just genuinely don't see it or don't know that their kid's kind of an asshole,
or maybe don't even pay attention,
or there's the ones who are just choosing to be blind to it,
right?
And then the ones who do see it and don't know what to do. I'm sure you'd feel a weird how do I ask for help for that? But I did see in the beginnings of everything on the Reels Rainbow Facebook page, there started a thread. This mom had posted a picture of her kid out mowing the lawn because he got in trouble at school that day. And then it was just this conversation afterwards with all these parents and them dealing with their bullies. And that was yes,
that's what needs to happen.
That's what that's what we need to see. I know that's something I would love to do down the line. It would be a small group situation or something kind of like that.
And I will say this, it might seem like a huge undertaking because we're not doctors or psychiatrists or anything like that. But I can tell you guys this with 100% certainty is the 6 to 10 people that are involved with Reels Rainbow on a daily basis are the most loving, inclusive, caring, and well thought out people that these kids will ever meet. So there is nobody that we will not try to help. And this group is united under one thing, and Rio is the driving force behind that. These people are not just people we randomly picked off the street because they're good at banking or lawyers or whatever. These are people that knew her. And these are people.
And a few that didn't.
And a few that didn't. But they have kids, and they have kids in our community, and they see the reality of what could be good and bad.
Absolutely.
So that's not goal that's unattainable. We'll talk to anybody about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't matter how different you are.
When you guys talk about community too, like what you said, Niki, getting people together that have something similar, that are dealing with the same thing, like bullies. Say they have kids that are the bullies, and getting those people together. It's weirdly enough, it's community because it's oh, you understand what I'm going through, so let's talk about it. Same with hair loss. me meeting Kristen, I was like, oh my God, you understand everything I have gone through. Let's talk about it. It was so much easier for me to talk to Kristen about my hair loss than like my mom. And I love my mom. My mom was super supportive, but she didn't have hair loss. So like having Kristen to be like, hey, I dealt with A, B, and C today with my hair loss. She's like, oh yeah, me too. It's having that familiarity aspect about it, like something similar that helps people. It helps people come up with ideas and ways to change things. And it's just so important. And communities on all parts of that, like having kids that are bullied, having parents that are the parents of bullies would be so helpful.
No, you want buy-in. You want, and we both do this, like we need to, whether they realize or not, or whether they want to openly say it, this is not an Elkhart problem. It's not an Indiana problem. It's not a United States problem. It is a worldwide problem.
This is a humanity problem.
Yeah, like I mean, even in some of our meetings, like our seminars and stuff we've done, it's crisis mode. Like our kids are struggling, especially the kids that are different, the alopecia kids, the autistic kids. They should have every right to be treated the same as everybody else, and that's not the case. Like, so we got to figure that out.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I feel like it's so important for you guys to use that to start such an organization that you have, because we don't have enough of Rio's Rainbows. You know what I mean? Like there should be so many, but there's not, because I don't know, society is just crappy. So it's so
We've
nice.
talked about that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, and I know there's times when the defeat, it feels very real.
Absolutely.
And for us, in our own personal experience with this and losing Rio, it wasn't even a choice. Like we have to do something, because if we don't, then I'm going to curl into a ball and wither away. And is it okay to not jump up and do that? You know, like, of course, every situation is different. But in our position, our choice was, oh, it's fight time now. And, you know, our guilt and our regrets of maybe we should have fought harder before. But like I said, this happened so fast.
Right.
That like could barely get our bearings. And then now this is the only choice we have.
There's always been a need. There just hasn't always been an avenue. If I could like put one stamp on Rio's Rainbow, is to provide the avenue. Like, and it doesn't have to be just here. Like, so
it's everywhere. Yeah.
And we don't have all the answers.
No.
Like, we want to blaze this trail, but we want other people to help us blaze it, because you know, we're two people.
Yeah, we are definitely way makers right now, I feel like, but
let's
go.
I know, exactly. Just going back to like the village part too, I feel like one, like Rio's Rainbow, you are doing so much for your community too, but you're going to need people on the outside in different states and to get in contact with you to keep it going. That's how things are going to change. So that's why we thought it was so important to have you guys on too, because we want to do the most. We want to be able to tell more people about your organization and get the word out there to where it spreads and where more people reach out and see how they can help, just because that's what it takes. It's word of mouth. It's that's how it goes, you know. So, we have to come together as a community for sure.
What can our listeners do if they want to join this, if they want to help? Like, what can they do?
So my two recommendations are, you can always go to reelsrainbow.org and reach out to us directly. You can go to the Reels Rainbow discussion group or on Facebook.
Okay.
And the Reels Rainbow official page on Facebook. The other thing is, if you do not already have a parent coalition group for your school district, form one. If you know that this is a problem and you know that you've not gotten the answers you wanted, or you don't have an outlet to make this happen, align yourself with somebody in your school district and start a parent coalition group, because there are decisions being made on your children's behalf all the time at school board meetings and legislation. And if you're not aware of it, they're working within the parameters of what they have and they're doing their jobs, you know, but if you're not paying attention to it, then things are happening behind the scenes that you're not aware of. So get involved in your school districts, form a group of parents that want the same things that everybody should want, you know, which is a safer, healthier environment for all our children. And be a voice in your school district, be a voice with Reels Rainbow, be a voice within your own state's government and your federal government. And let's get to work. Let's make changes for these kids, because if you think it doesn't affect you, but even if you don't have children, healthier, mentally capable, like healthy kids, we have a responsibility. It'll make the world
a safer place.
Big time. Like and as the adults right now, as the adults in the room, we have the responsibility ability to make their lives better. What is it that you say all the time? We don't have to leave a better world for our kids.
You leave better kids for the world.
We leave better kids for the world.
There you go.
That's good.
That is so true. Honestly, because like I said before, it starts young, learning all of those things, learning how to take care of your mental health, be nice to strangers, be nice to someone that's different from you. You start young. Like you have to know those things when you're growing up because it'll stick
And it
with
is such
you.
an easy thing to do. It is such an
Yep.
easy thing to do. And I wasn't always that guy. Like not a lot of us, when we were younger, we weren't, like it's easy to like
Yep.
lash out at somebody or like pump yourself up by putting somebody else down. Those days are over, man. Like we
It's not cute.
Nope.
like we need to promote each other.
Yep.
Especially for the ones that may be viewed as having some kind of weakness or deficiency or however it is viewed by the uneducated, that those are the ones that if we have pockets of bullies here, there, and everywhere, we need to tighten that circle, to where
You got
there's
it.
a bunch of helpers and it's not cool anymore to be a jerk.
Yeah.
So
It
like
really isn't.
yeah,
Exactly.
to make it cool to be the one that defends, like have multiple kids defending other kids,
Yep.
just be kind.
Yeah.
It's such an easy thing to do.
You got it. I couldn't agree more with you. Next week, February 16th, will be part 3, which is also the final part of this episode. Until next week, folks, Bald Peck out.